Second time today that Profila is coming to you, and this afternoon we've got CV Labs and Yanis. So what we'll be doing, similar to this morning for anyone who caught the session, is doing a walkthrough of the Profila investor pitch. So it's not a like one-way pitch. I'm more going to have a conversation with Yanis about our problem case and our solution, and then just get his feedback and advice on how we could perfect the pitch, and also just talk in general about the actual problem that Profila is addressing in the market. But before that, Yanis, why don't you introduce yourself to people who are watching now or later?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Sean. So I'm Yanis. I'm with CVVC, which is basically the parent company also of CV Labs. So we're based out of Switzerland, and we're an early stage VC fund. So since 2018, we actively invest in crypto Web3 startups. So far, we did 75 projects, which are part of our portfolio, and we have a twofold strategy how we invest. So on the one hand, we look at very early stage projects, so pre-seed stage, where we invest a set amount of capital and have an additional acceleration program component. So this is, if you look at our total portfolio, probably the larger chunk of our deals, but we also invest directly into ongoing rounds up until pre-A rounds. And of course, we also double down on existing portfolio firms. From a thesis, we are agnostic. So this relates to a lot of topics. So from ecosystems, we invest into Ethereum, Cardano, Solana, like where we find good projects and good founders, but also from an industry perspective, from infrastructure to applications, pretty much everything is there. And on a regional level, we're also agnostic, even though we have, I would say, strongholds through our physical presence in Switzerland, Lisbon, Liechtenstein, and South Africa. So we have a lot of deals from those regions, but generally we try to have a very agnostic regional approach. And personally, what I do at CVVC, I'm looking after the acceleration program. So this first part of the investment thesis, which I mentioned, mainly at the program side and the funnel filling side. And great to chat to you, Sean. I think
Cool.
Since you have a good Cardano following, I think it's worth also to mention quickly what's coming up with the CV Labs Accelerator in the next couple of months.
Please.
So for those who are very active in the Cardano community and also involved in Catalyst, you might have seen that for Fund 13, there was a bunch of acceleration programs funded, and we're actually also one of them. So what this means is that we bring our experience through running a crypto accelerator the last years to the Cardano ecosystem. So we are currently working on a very I would say hands-on Cardano specific acceleration program. We had the opportunity to work in the last 2 years with the Cardano startup ecosystem through the Bell of the Builders in Dubai. So we screened a lot of Cardano projects, and we found a couple of common themes where we can help. So I'm also curious to see in your pitch later, Sean, if there is also some of these points that we noticed on the wider masses. And but not without taking too much time for that. So keep an eye on our socials.
That's interesting.
All right, cheers.
Carry on.
Keep an eye on our socials. Next week, we will announce or publish our new website with all the dates and announcements. So if you're a startup that is interested in working from Crypto Valley, which is in Switzerland, and you're interested to work with us or have us on your sidelines to support you, we would love to receive your application and then eventually welcome you in our program.
Fantastic, Yanis. Thank you. And I've heard of CV Labs for a long time, and I don't know if we actually applied like 4 or 5, 6 years ago, but before then, I don't know if you were so into Cardano, and we weren't as mature as we believe we are now with our model, and you'll see now that our pitch is a little bit unique in the crypto space, and because it is addressing a different market problem that a lot of crypto companies have tried to tackle. And I think that's been part of our challenge to date. But I'll get your opinions on that anyway. Just a little bit about you, though. So what's your background before this? And you said you come from northern Italy. Do you ski, snowboard?
Oh, yeah. I'm like, since I can walk, I almost ski. I started skiing when I was 3 years old.
Nice.
I come from northern Italy, specifically the Alps region. So probably a lot of people have heard from about the Dolomites. So that zone is where I'm originally from. So yeah, I grew up skiing, of course. Now I'm almost 4 years with CVVC, and priorly to that, I was running my own startup. I was working in Southeast Asia in a couple of startups. So I would say from a background, I'm really like a startup guy, never really went into a corporate direction, which I think also suits my character and the way I work. So yeah.
Very nice, very nice. The reason I asked too, well, I'm South African for anyone who's watching, but I think they would have picked it up by now. And I tried to snowboard, bought a board, put it on, went down a hill okay, but then tried to do a jump and fell at the bottom. And ever since then, I've never been able to get it right. So, but this is, Verdad is a snowboard and skateboarding company actually that did some trials with us on our platform last year out of Belgium.
Okay, awesome.
Very good boards, by the way. So I'm doing a bit of promotion for some of the brands that are supporting Profila. Okay, so let's jump into just the walkthrough of what is Profila in the first place. But before that, just a quick introduction to myself. So Sean Jensen, the co-founder and CEO of Profila. South African born, but been in Switzerland since 2010. My background's in global telecommunications with Vodafone for many years, but heading up product portfolios, network portfolios, and specifically in solutions architecture. So I think that breed actually is the most dangerous in the world because we know enough about what's capable in any system, but we're not engineers, which is nice. So we believe everything is possible. So that's a bit of background. But let me share the slides and I'll walk you through what our proposition is. Actually, you're lucky because I went through another deck this morning and I've made the changes that were recommended by the guys at Draper. And for any founder that's out there, I think just get used to having 1,000 iterations of your deck and tailor it as fast as you can to your audience. Get to understand what the people you're pitching to, like to see or hear by other pitchers and other companies that they've invested into. And don't think that changing your deck means that, you got your message wrong. Because for some people it lands in one way and for others it lands in another way. And I know at Profile over the years, we probably literally do have hundreds of versions going on. Okay, so first, Yanis, people ask, what is Profila? So we all know what a profile is. It is a description of you in a platform or a system or in a database. What a profiler is exactly the same, but it's one that you create and own. Okay, so it's a very simple thing. We believe it will be a noun in the future, like Google, where people will say, well, if you want to get to know me, go and look at my profiler. But the market and problem that we're addressing in the company is this. There is a huge market for digital advertising. However, it is fraught with terrible, terrible statistics and problems. So 56% of every ad that people see in their scrolls and their feeds are never seen by customers. And the worst one is that 0.66% of social media's engagement or ad click-through per month is such a low rate. So I don't know how an industry can actually survive on a conversion rate of 0.66%. And additionally, 172 billion of that 800 billion in ad market is fraud. Okay, so we've got an industry which has also caused a lot of problems with its surveillance techniques and tactics, but is fundamentally also underperforming and has a lot of challenges. So what does the advertising system look like today, and where are these issues? And there it is. Okay, we've got way too many surveillance systems. We've got way too many data brokers. We've got way too many legacy systems that are hoarding and collecting data that becomes old and stale and creates a risk. And we've also got way too many advertising platforms that are trying to force their way into your life. So what we believe at Profila is those areas are the ones that are causing the problem. But at the same time, the customer isn't getting any compensation. They're getting irritated, if anything else, and they're losing trust in organizations. The oldest saying in our market is if you're not paying for it, you are the product. But people don't know what to do, okay? And that's where Profila comes in. So what does advertising look like tomorrow? We believe that the whole industry needs a bit of a Doge moment where we look at eliminating surveillance, costs, and risk and fraud. And that can be done when you look at the industry from a different perspective. And that is what we've done over the last 6-7 years in R&D and deep diving into what advertising actually is and what a company needs to be able to serve a customer very effectively. And that's where I think we have a valuable proposition for the market. So where do we fit in and what is our revenue model? Every company spends data and ad dollars, okay? That's in their budgets, and that's what makes up that $800 billion spend. Most of that currently goes to awareness marketing, which is advertising on these platforms. So social media, search, just to tell the world that you exist. But the problem comes in the next phase is how do I convert a customer when they're interested into a real customer and cultivate the relationship? That's where Profila has a brand new platform, a personal media platform that will actually help teach customers to share their data more accurately with brands to improve the engagement and conversion. Because this is the biggest problem that companies have, because someone might show interest, but they might not be the perfect customer. And the brands are only using surveillance techniques mostly, and some are using first-party data to get to know you as a customer. So on a platform like this, where millions of customers can actually tell companies what they want, that will hugely help the industry, and it will take away the need for surveillance. Many people think this isn't possible, but we are experiencing the biggest shift of wealth in history from boomers to Gen Zs and millennials who understand technology, who are digital natives. And yes, they know exactly what to do to tell a company what they want. And our biggest moat is that all of that spend, and we believe we'll be able to redirect 40% of a company's spend where they normally focus on conversion and retention marketing to Profila. And 50 to 80% of that revenue gets paid to the customer because they're doing the work to update their data and they're doing the work to pay attention. So yes, we took ideas and concepts from Brave and the basic attention token, and we've created an advanced approach to that. But we've also 10x'd it in that the individual gets most of the cash. Okay, we take a 20% transaction fee on every bit of revenue that flows through the platform, but we facilitate this relationship between two parties. So what does it look like and what does the brand get? Okay, at the end of the day, the brand needs better data direct from the source. Through the platform, they can get self-declared demographics and psychographics and engagement preferences. And this is what we use our utility token for, called the Zeek token, Zero Knowledge Token, to educate customers on how to build a profile that is valuable to the companies that they want and need in their life. Okay, then brands can use this customer data in their marketing systems. And what we do is we create an open market. So brands will bid for the data. We don't set a price, they bid for it. And if a customer accepts, then we have an open market model that starts to form. We will obviously educate brands as to what the data should be worth. And then after that, we take a transaction fee, but the brand receives quality data and accurate data. That converts into better ads and content engagement. And people have said to us, well, why would I go to a platform to look at ads when they're all over the internet? But remember, you're only ever seeing ads for the companies that you want or need a relationship with and on the frequency that you want. And yes, if I love a sports team or if I love an automotive provider or I love a bag company or a fashion company, I do want to see the best products and services that they have to offer me. But if I go there once a week, that's fine. If I go there every day, that's fine. Profila is not obsessed with daily active users or impressions. We're obsessed with customer conversion based on good data. And again, for any of the ad revenue that comes through the platform, 80% goes to the customer, 20% goes to our platform. In time, we see up to 95% or even more going to the customer as our systems get more efficient, because we have to scale an environment to work across millions of customers and millions of consumers. But at the end of the day, this is the holy grail for brands. Good data, which helps to convert. We want 100x the current metrics of 0.66% to 100% conversion. And we know why we say that, Jonas, is because if I asked to see it, I will look at it. Okay. And then the final step is to convert into sales. On the platform, at the end of the year, we will have the ability to create a shopping cart from the ad, like a one-click. But the nice thing is that this is a protected environment. It's not search. It's not social. It's a private relationship platform between you and the companies that you want in your life, which fundamentally changes the game. Okay, so it takes away all of the stress of fatigue of content. You're only seeing stuff that you're interested in. So where does the Web3 come in and privacy preserving tech? So we spent a lot of time and we've received many grants from the Cardano community to actually explore the right methods to protect your data. So we have digital identities in for the individual and for the brand to ensure that both parties are known. There's no fake or AI users on this platform. And we also use that identity to make sure that we can obfuscate and protect your identity so that the brand never actually has to know who you are unless you explicitly share personal data. So how we do that is through the next one, which is data subscription smart contracts. So here, running on Cardano, we have a smart contract which creates an NFT in your wallet that proves there is a relationship between the two parties, and it proves that the brand owes you money. And then it accrues payouts every single month, and we collect cash from brands and we pay that out in the Zeek token to individuals. The same works for the attention smart contract, similar to the BAT model. You get paid out for consuming content, which also reduces the risk of any ad fraud because we can prove that individuals saw a specific advert at a specific time without leaking any data. The final one is so important, though, because we also use the Zeek token to reward people for doing good things, building a good data set, and also paying attention to content that they asked to see. So it's only fair not to waste the brand's money either if you're not going to look at their content. So we really do believe that we can de-risk brands significantly from ad fraud, from data breaches, and from privacy compliance while still giving customers a much better brand experience. So final slide of where we're at. We've done 6 years of very in-depth R&D, multiple funded research grants from Swiss government as well. Last 2 years, we rebuilt the platform, ran beta trials, and we're now ready for enterprise trials on our platform in 2025. We're busy raising a seed round, which will go launch our company in the US. And we're also doing a public token sale of the Zeek token to get that out into the market. 53% of our allocation on the token actually is going to be used for rewards to help people build this new habit of creating data and sharing data responsibly with companies. And I think the revenue numbers speak for themselves. We're tapping into a $900 billion market. So we do believe that after 2 years, we can achieve a modest 10 million ARR, and then in 3 years to 4 years, 100 million ARR, which is a tip of the iceberg in moving ad and data spend away from the incumbents. And there we have it. Yannis, over to you. Questions, observations, and critique, please.
Yes, of course. So maybe let's start first with in general with the deck without going too much into the product. So I think the deck is very well thought through, great animations. To be very honest, in terms of structure and everything, there's not much to criticize. I think the one thing from messaging that I only probably understood in probably second last slide is if Profila is actually a digital identity or if it's a platform, is it an app, what exactly the product is. So
yeah.
Of course the functions and all that stuff is clear, but my question was then always throughout the pitch, is it actually now the app itself, but it's also digital entity? So what is actually the product? That is the first one. And the second one, I wouldn't put the valuation into the pitch deck. Because this is assumed like a pitch deck which you talk through, right? It's not a send out deck. In a send out deck you can think of it, but in a pitch deck I wouldn't do it in. And generally I think about just the deck, that's my main 2 points.
Cool. I'll definitely focus on calling out the platform approach up front, and that's the idea, is that customers come to a new safe environment, which is a platform, and those technologies help us to make that platform sovereign, and so that the individual actually owns it. But I'll make sure that link comes through much better, Yannis.
Mm-hmm. And from a narrative, I mean, this is also something really structured that we also recommend often to our startups, that you start with the problem without spending too much time on the problem. The status quo, basically say, this is such a low conversion rate and this is how we can fix it. And I really like that you focus more time on the solution than the problem. Also that you keep to the narrative, how you change the status quo throughout the deck. I think in probably the second or third last slide, you mentioned that you want to 100x this 0.66%. Yeah. So I think that's very cool. But other than that, I think from a deck structure and the entire narrative, it's very good. I love the topic, data as an asset. We actually invested also in a startup that is working on this topic, but a bit of a different approach. So personally, also worked in a data startup, which was creating cookie-free data for programmatic advertising. So I know a bit about the topic.
Exactly.
So that's why I would like maybe to talk a bit more about the product, because from the pitch deck, I think you're doing great. So
Perfect.
if that's good, maybe we can ask a few questions about the product.
Please do, and I can actually show it if you've got time when you're ready. But fire away, ask me any questions that come to mind while I'm getting it ready.
So the mechanics behind of this product is basically that a single user declares 3 or 4 data sets, right? Demographics, what was it? Demographics
and psychographics, and in future we'll allow them to import first-party data. So the customer creates a profiler of themselves.
Mm-hmm. So that was my question. That was actually my first question. Is it possible for a customer to import data? We think of, your token is called ZK, so zero knowledge token.
Yes.
So when you have like a way to compute with ZK proofs on top of this data, we could also think of health data, geolocation data, which you can export from Google Maps, for instance. All these kind of topics, I think this can be way more powerful than, just I like football, I'm 30 years old and I live in Switzerland. You can have, I think, way more traction points, because also when you think of the quality and the value of data, I think data, which is of course private, is way more valuable, and hence you need to have sort of a privacy preserving way to compute on it or to give it. And so yeah, my first
100%.
question
on that point, quickly before we jump to the next question, we've done a lot of work with a partner chain called Partisia blockchain, and we're in the process of implementing their multi-party computation through smart contract integration. So yes, any data that's uploaded to the platform, first trick though is we don't want to upload all the data. We want to upload it into like a private compute environment, do analytics on it, and extract the insights, okay? Because there's too much data for one platform to hold everything, like your medical records, x-rays, your music history, your credit card data. But the insights can for sure come into an environment, and then we'll protect it using technologies like MPC. But in the Cardano world, we've also spent time with and spoken to the Midnight team, who are building another partner sidechain, privacy chain, and there we'll use their zero-knowledge proofs. And the two tie together nicely, because zero-knowledge proofs is for one data point for a true and false answer, whereas multi-party computation aligns more for advertising, as you're aware, because I've got many, many customers and many query options of, does this person fit in my persona? So that's where we're looking at using the MPC compute.
Okay, no, that's amazing. I think that's definitely a good way in the future to to think of how to build more towards like more high quality data. And so next question would be, how do you make sure that customers, because I think you mentioned also, you say, okay, the idea is that, like say, retail customers that are providing their data and consuming the ads, that they come through tokenized incentives, right, on the platform. But I'm thinking, I'm not sure if probably you know that, right? There was this Google surveys and a lot of these apps where you could go and you have to fill out surveys and you're compensated for that. I think mechanics are similar, right? But I think the problem is that often individuals with purchasing power, so probably those type of people that you want, for them, let's say earning $2-3 in a couple of surveys is not enough to spend the time and go to the app. So did you think about that problem?
Absolutely. And some of the research we did with the University of Madrid, they also looked into this whole data aggregation model of filling out surveys and selling the data. We don't believe that you make a lot of money from even leasing your data. So one thing to mention is Profila never lets you sell your data. It's only ever leased through the contract for a duration and period. So in 90% of the cases, the data will not leave the platform. If it does, it'll be under a stronger contract, and there'll be legal due course process that we help with to get it deleted. But I 100% agree that this inundation of surveys which fulfill the brand's requirements is not the path to go. But we've got a different strategy called self-discovery, and it's self-discovery assessment. So let's go here to the sports one. And Luke and his team have actually done research on this, Yanis, on how to ask different questions of yourself, though. So you only have to fill this survey out maybe once, 2-3 times a year. So here's a survey on your snowboarding preferences, which Luke and our team have designed to answer holistic questions, okay? But the difference too is you keep all of the replies and you keep all of the data, and it grows over time. So that becomes an insight pool for the individual. And I agree with you that Luke's even got designs on how do you give small snippet updates over time of your preferences so that you don't have to continuously fill out surveys. Totally agree with it. But funny point, in our alpha trials, people love doing this of all categories of income, but not for somebody else. When we told them that you're doing this to self-assess, and to then share data, they were quite happy to do so.
Okay, interesting. Maybe you could also think of sort of a gamified way how to make this even more appealing, like because I think in the duration there will be new surveys, new quizzes, new assessments coming on, right? So to keep folks motivated to go for it. But generally, I think that's a great way, right? It's a great way to keep the
part of the tokenomics with Zeek is to incentivize people. So like here, we were doing a trial, not for Juventus, but it was a company that was aligned with them. And it would be, how can we incentivize people through a token reward and a gamification leveling up to say your profile is now more mature. And if you remember our revenue share model, we also incentivize that way. So it starts at 50%. But if you've completed most of the surveys and if you are updating your data and engaging properly, you get up to 80%. So we incentivize with the cash payout through Zeek, and we also incentivize through gamification with the Zeek token.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very cool. Another question maybe. So how to phrase it best? So the ultimate goal is to have, let's say, 100% conversion rate, right? And to have that, every product that advertises on your platform needs to have a target market, right?
Correct.
This brings you to the challenge I would say in generally to have quality products on the website that either you vet them or your average will not be good. So maybe to elaborate a bit on it. So let's say if there's like a useless product. I remember our university, my marketing professor was always telling me, try to market a remote control that smells like strawberry, right? It's a product, right? But how are you going to sell that, right? And now think of, okay, they try to market their product on your platform. They'll probably have like,
I agree with you. I agree. It's the biggest challenge in the world. And how we address that, Yanis, is we're also not trying to compete with the model of social media to say that they'll bring all the eyeballs. That's why we're B2B2C, so that your first engagement will be a brand that inviting you to the platform. Then once you're on the platform and you've experienced their brand, then over here, as you can see, you can vote for other brands to join the platform. And then we use that as a go-to-market to get those companies to come at a very low barrier to entry. There's no license fees and just to try it out. And as soon as a new brand joins, we alert the customers that, hey, there's a new brand. Are you interested in this brand? And the second approach to that is in a later release, we've got a concept of a data marketplace, which new brands can come in and see, well, I like remotes that smell like strawberries. If somebody has answered a survey randomly like that, we'll do that matching before you see any content. So we're not going to ever force data into this feed. These moments that you see or adverts that you see are only because you've let them in the door. And this feature we have here called Metronome, you can actually decide how many you want per week. Is it only offers? Is it brand building? Is it company information? So that's what we call Metronome. And it's counterintuitive to the market, so that if you've got nothing left in your feed, we don't force anything else in there. It can be empty. We don't mind. Okay, because it's your world and we need to respect that.
And this is content specifically designed by the brands for the platform, or is it aggregated from other channels? Let's say if they
Very good question. So I'll jump to the back end here of this one. This is an automotive company we're working with in South Africa. And for them, they've got a bunch of high net worth individuals as customers. So they want to target them much more effectively. So they can build campaigns here, it's single ad campaigns or multiple thread campaigns. And they can then manage who's seeing this, how many click-throughs, how many impressions, and their conversion rate itself. So the brands have full control, but they only see data that a customer wants them to see. So over here, your first connection with the brand is anonymous. You can share demographics like I have, that's me, but some people over here, they share nothing. But at least the brand knows that this person is interested in me. But then through a data subscription, there's none live here, but I can get one over here. the brand makes an offer to customers to say, I want access to your data, then the brand can see the details of all of your preferences. And I think we've done something unique, is that you can filter down customers to a specific survey question that they've answered. That's why we got less surveys, but very well thought through. And a brand can target to somebody saying, well, I like red cars only in South Africa, and they must be below 3 million rand. Those are the type of profiling we want, so that match can get closer to 100% conversion rate.
Got it. But that's then, I think, specifically for certain queries, right? When you have a certain thing you want to buy or you want to look at.
Yeah.
But then eventually you can remove it as well, right? Once you say you bought your car, because it's not a purchase you make like every day, right? It's
exactly. And that's the thing. We spoke to a lot of automotive companies, and they still don't know their customer. The biggest one in France, said they spend millions and millions and millions on these platforms, but they go through retail stores, 4,000 of them, and they still don't know the customer and the preferences walking in the door, because the retail stores don't share the data, and the group by competition law is actually not allowed to. So we pitched to them and said, well, what if you turn it around and just put the power into the hands of your customer to share the data with you at the right time? It solves all of the problems, and it cuts away that 30 million expense. And so it is a paradigm shift for people to think about. But at the end of the day, is if they see one piece of content that converts, that's our ambition. And I think, the methods of incentivizing people, of getting them to feel like they're safe, is part of what we're trying to do first, hence the Web3 approach, and also the compensation. So over here, you can see you earning your share of every interaction that you have coming through. Impressions are free, but the subscription accrues on a daily basis, and it will go through to your connected wallet. And then monthly, you can cash that out as the Zeek token. So for us, it also creates a nice token economy, because we're forcing buy pressure at a monthly cycle into the ecosystem by converting any cash into tokens and paying out the cash and the rewards in the Zeek token.
And I assume that also brands, they need to pay in Zeek token in order to.
No, they pay in fiat. And then we've got a partner here in Switzerland we're lining up, but also you going with the stable coins is making it easier. But we'll first take cash and we'll convert it off the exchange market into our Zeek token. So we'll take cash, buy it off the exchange, and then pay out to individuals on a monthly basis. So we're creating price pressure on a monthly cycle.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Maybe very last question.
Yeah.
Do you sell this as a Web3 product to brands? Because I assume you work with 99.9% of Web2 brands.
Yeah, we don't even talk blockchain. When they go into the details of wanting to understand how we secure the data, because we go in with a proposition that we can de-risk them by 99% of privacy breaches, of data hacking, and so on. So when they get to the details, then we explain to them how we're protecting the data and how we make sure that the customer actually has sovereignty over their data. But most of the time, we're talking to CMOs and CEOs who want either to make an impact on the bottom line of their business, or CMOs who are looking for, I suppose, a more ethical, but also a more cost-effective way of advertising. And that's our thesis, Janis, that we're hoping to prove in the next 2 years now, is to go to these companies and say, yes, you have to be out there in the red zone, danger zone for a percentage, but bring customers to a private space, and we believe we'll get them closer to our North Star of 100% conversion. That's the gamble. But from what you've seen, I think, is nobody else is trying to attack it from this angle. And the nice thing about the ad industry and the marketing industry is they follow fast. Okay, so if we get it right with 1 or 2 brands and they're starting to see double digits and conversion rates, all of them will start trying it. Yeah,
100%. And I really love this type of products which leverage blockchain and Web3 technologies, and without even for the customer, in this case the Web2 companies, having to know that it's there. So I think this is really a good step into the direction we will be hopefully one day, where this all gets very normalized. So I think that's great.
Thank you. Last point I'll show out to you, which a lot of platforms don't do. We're still cleaning up the UI, but here we also help the brands, because a brand is supposed to give a user the ability to assert their privacy rights, but all they give us is a click or deny cookies. Yeah. But over here, we've got a process where in 3 steps, you can assert a privacy right with any company, around the world. And let's see, CV Labs, you guys existing. Oh, you're not on here. Come on, where are you? I should be here. Come on, hang on a sec.
No worries.
Okay, we'll choose one. You're not there yet. I have to find you. But you can find a brand, any brand around the world. And what we do is you can choose your GDPR rights. They say right to rectification. We give you a bit of advice. Also in this section, we've got a whole lot of trainer videos so that people can understand their rights. And once you confirm that and you create an assertion, what it actually does is we've created a legal template mail which goes out to the brand's privacy email and to the individual, and we ask them to facilitate, a better data relationship. Because once people know they can do this, and here's Lego one, and where's Nike? We just opened a new one. There we go. Then the individual can come back and close it. So in the future, we'll have a back-end part of this too, where a brand can come and help close out and share with the person how they updated their data. But through this model, we're also trying to get brands to realize that this is such a burden carrying all this data. Why not just let the customer manage it on Profila? And the last analogy, and then I'll let you ask some more questions, is the manufacturing industry got it right a long time ago, where they went to a just-in-time process where parts are given into the factory as they're needed for production. But businesses are obsessed with, I have to have all my data all in one place, all at one time. I believe over time we'll help them with proof, that customers can do this, is feed the right lead indicator buying signals into them as needed and as the customer is ready. I agree on the push-pull marketing, but I would also like to open, a tab here and say, okay, just for today, for one day, I'm interested in looking at holiday offers. And then, yes, I can see 10 things, but I want to switch it off and it must disappear completely. And that you'll be able to do on Profila. And the profiling will be so accurate because the individual's intrinsic and extrinsic motivation are tapped. Yeah, that's you're in total control, and you're making sure you get the best offers from a brand.
Cool. No, that's great. I think from my side, I actually asked all questions. I think again, like very good pitch. Generally, also great structure. Of the deck itself. So yeah, well done there, Sean.
Awesome. Thank you, Yanis. So I think we're a bit late stage for your accelerator. Otherwise, I would jump on and join.
Usually, 25 million valuation is a bit too much for an acceleration program, 100%. But we can talk about you joining the Cardano program, because that's non-dilutive.
I would like to, yeah, and because one thing, and this is open for anyone who's listening too, is we struggled a bit initially because we were tackling a problem in the ad tech industry, in a market which is obsessed with DeFi infrastructure, protocols, deepen, and so on. So we've never really fit into the buckets which the crypto world is currently obsessed with. However, when we look at the capabilities of the crypto and blockchain world, like you saw, we've got awesome use cases for digital IDs, for smart contracts, but they're under the skin. Okay, so I would love to, work on any program that helps people to understand that you can build a dApp on these products. Okay, because we're a dApp at the end of the day, and I think dApps are needed for what everyone wants in Web3 is adoption and 100%. Transaction volume. So I think it's the time of the dApp.
That's word. Yeah. Thank you again for having me, Sean. It was really great listening to your pitch and chatting about it.
Thanks for your time, Yanis. And just any parting words, if you want to, again, because some people watch parts of it, just give a 1 minute on inviting people to your accelerator for Cardano, yes. Please.
So we have, I think, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we have a Cardano exclusive acceleration program coming up. The program will start on May 19th, and applications will open on February 19th. So starting next week, there will be 2 months the applications open. So for any founder, builder who is in the Cardano ecosystem who wants also to move to the Cardano ecosystem, we think it's a great opportunity. It's non-dilutive. There is an opportunity to get investment from us or our partner VCs. And it's a hybrid program. So we'll fly you for 2 weeks to Switzerland to work with us from Crypto Valley. with amazing networking, pitching events, and you will also have the opportunity to get great mentorship from people within the Cardano ecosystem, but also people outside of the Cardano ecosystem, because we want to bring a bit of a fresh perspective. And yeah, stay tuned. Next week the website will be live, and I'm really excited then to support as many Cardano projects as we can in the first cohort.
Fantastic, Jonas. Thank you so much. And for anyone, final message, the Zeek token sale is still on. It's a conservative one because we've got a strategy of putting most of our tokens out into the market post-sale through the rewards and incentive mechanisms. But it does close on Friday. It's live Friday night, midnight, Valentine's Day. And it's live on MinSwap DEX and also on LCX6. So thank you all for watching and have a wonderful day.